started on my kitchen table with a 3D printer and a laptop. You know, I believe in myself and I believe in what I'm doing. I think I have a great product and I just roll the dice. When people buy a Vice product, I want you to get it and be like, oh wow, like this was thought through, this was done the right way.
So while a lot of us have a dream of starting our own company, and especially having our own product, very few of us manage to make it work quite as effectively as Vice Hardware. And today we're joined by Cory from Vice Hardware himself.
What's up, man? Thanks
out here in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Absolutely.
Where you have your own home shop here that's doing some really crazy stuff.
Correct.
Do you mind if we take a peek?
Let's go, man. Let's check it out.
So this originally, I take it, was just your garage that you had maybe just as a home shop for other stuff that you have converted into a CNC facility.
Correct. It was basically just a shell. I mean, nothing was in here. It was terrible, terrible shape. So we insulated it and got it climate controlled, man. And it's my dream personally, so.
You need that for the North Carolina summers.
Absolutely.
Now this concrete pad in here, because a lot of people don't realize, when you put these machines in, if you put them in and the floor isn't stable, was this pad already here? Did you have to put this in?
This was already here. I'm pretty sure it's 2-spec, but if I was to build this shop on my own, I'd go a little thicker, but everything seems to go well. There is a crack in the floor, but as long as we don't straddle that crack, we're all right.
I've got them in my shop too, so.
Yeah. This shop's been here, I think the house was built in '93, so, I mean, it is what it is.
And it looks like you got a couple CNC mills, Haas on both. Which one was your first? You got a mini mill and a DT2.
Yeah, the mini mill. The mini mill, man, that was my first purchase, and that purchase was literally terrifying for me because, I mean, it costs more in my truck. It's a fraction of my house, so that investment was huge, but that little mini mill done all the work to buy everything in here, so I'm super grateful for it.
And did you finance that, or did you buy that cash up new?
I financed that. That's why it was so terrifying. And at the time, I had a product, but I didn't know if this product would sell or not. It was a crapshoot, so some things worked out in my fortune where I was able to pick up a job or two to get it rolling and then eventually get my brand off where I could only do that.
So you did actually start, because my next question was going to be, this didn't start in here. I believe from what I saw on your Instagram, you actually started in your kitchen.
Yes, I started on my kitchen table with a 3D printer and a laptop. That's all I had, and all the prototypes to the wallets and everything I've done to that point has still been on that 3D printer. I think I paid $1,200 for the 3D printer at the time, and man, that thing has paid for itself in full so many times.
It's still being used today.
Still being used. It looks like a turd compared to everything else out, but man, it does work for me, so.
So that's where you started, and then what kind of made you take the jump to putting in your own machinery? Like, obviously you prototyped, so for those who don't know, we'll get a little closer into what you actually do here in a second, but as a product, I take it you didn't develop the product, think about it, buy a machine, and then just say, I'm gonna make it now.
Correct. I outsourced it at first, and the quality was terrible. Like, more than half of the parts I couldn't even sell, and it was titanium, so at the time, people around here wasn't really familiar with machining titanium, and they didn't want to take the time to learn it and do the fixtures and do it correctly. So in my head, I'm like, if this is going to be a journey that I'm going to see to the end, like, I have to make that investment. It wasn't really another option for me.
Right.
Because that was going to be an uphill battle from the start with quality, and I'm like, you know, I believe in myself and I believe in what I'm doing. I think I have a great product, and I just rolled the dice. Now,
if we're looking here, do you want to show us a little bit about what Vice Hardware does before we kind of look a little closer at the machines?
Absolutely. So we do these minimal wallets, and yeah, this is not the original design, but it's like the second version, and it's all mechanical and titanium hardware, and we offer stuff like for air tags. But the bread and butter to these is they're customizable. Like, just here is, for example, like we UV print these, and everything can be tailored to you, like your company logo, like the gift I was about to give you.
Oh no.
Yeah, so I did this for you guys, and as you can see.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Check that out. Now, for these here, I think I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but the industry or the market for these is everyday carry or EDC.
Correct, yes. And you know, this is something, I wanted to build something that's literally going to last you a lifetime. So, you know, if any of these parts screw up, you can hit us up and be like, oh man, this happened. And you know, it's very easy to replace. I really wanted to build something that's going to go the distance with you and stand behind it.
And this kind of stuff, I mean, for especially those who are active in the Instagram machining community, a lot of guys and girls and people and so on and so forth get into this market because it's such I would almost call it a large niche. There's a lot of really cool creators in the space, but also it's a product that if you put in the time, you put in the money to get it set up, you get it going, it's a market where collectors like this stuff. You know, someone may not only buy one wallet, they'll buy one wallet and get another one of these, or they'll,
oh, yeah.
You know, I see guys going after CNC knives on there that want 5 different kinds because they want all the different handle materials. When you started this, which one was the first product? I take it was the wallet, and how did you decide to start branching out into other offerings?
So the wallet was our first product, and man, that was a rough start because trying to sell someone on a wallet is hard. And you know, if I sold one a week, that was a win.
Oh yeah.
And then it picked up a 5. I'm like, okay, we're getting some momentum. And then finally, in 2008, or sorry, not 2008, 2020, I was able to quit my day job. I got that steam, and I was able to quit and do this full time.
And that was only 2 years after you started this company.
Correct. So I'd work 10-hour days and then come home and then burn the midnight oil, man. I'd be up till 12 or 1 o'clock. I mean, that went on for years. So, I mean, it's a grind, but I mean, the payoff is so worth it.
And when it comes to designing stuff like this, obviously, you know, when you're programming a 3D printer, when you're doing this, how did you get into design? What got your, what's your background before you got into doing this that kind of led you to being able to, because even designing stuff like this, like if you guys don't know, even just to draw this up in CAD, there's a lot of angles, there's a lot of confusing parts to that. Where did you kind of develop that background?
So I grew up in like all my family, it's like a family tradition of machinists. So I've always been creating, and my dad just, dude, he encouraged me to make cool things. But, you know, it was never drafting it. You just went in the shop and sawed it up and welded it up. It is what it is. But then, I don't know, I actually bought the software myself probably 10 years ago, and I just went on a journey. It's like, I'm going to learn this. I don't have a formal education in drafting or anything. I just took the initiative to do it.
It looks like it worked out.
yeah, and I'm not a wizard on it or anything, but you know, I can hold my own. But YouTube, bro, YouTube.
You can learn everything these days.
It is so, just and if anyone's getting started, just find something to draw.
Yeah.
Just work your way and build your skill level, and then eventually, you know, you'll be designing cars and stuff.
Start doing 2D, start doing a box, then figure out how to extrude it, figure out how to trim it. Yeah, I mean, a lot of the stuff I learned for 3D modeling, I am nowhere near as good as you are. I can tell just by looking at this stuff, but it comes from playing around with it. It comes from, hey, I want to make a sign for my front door. I'm going to try to draw that up. You can screw it up 100 times.
Exactly.
And then, you know, you get there with it. But clearly you've been doing some quite intensive design work in here. To take a look around in here, let's see the kind of setup and how you're making this stuff in here. So we got the mini mill here. What kind of travel? That's got a very short travel, very small work area, which is actually optimized for what you're doing.
Oh, it was great. And the only downfall with making wallets on the mini mill was the tool capacity, 10 tools.
Oh, it's only a 10?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So I was doing soft jaws so there's essentially 3 pieces on here I was milling. And I could only do one part at a time.
Got it.
So it was like a month turnaround to get a stack of wallets, essentially.
Do 100 of one piece, 100 of the other, 100 of the third.
Man, that was exhausting. So I'm like, if I'm going to take this to the next level, every time I open this door, I have to pull a wallet out complete.
Full wallet, not just one piece.
Full wallet. So that was the turning point on where I had to make a decision for the mini mill. But man, this little machine is an entry machine. It is amazing, and I still use it daily. It runs all our money clips to put chamfers on those, and air tag clips. It still does work constantly. But
this kind of setup you have in here right now, I take it that's a little fixture plate. Mm-hmm. Is that a pretty typical setup that you run in here? So a flat style fixture plate running multiple parts at a time?
Yes. and no, like, so that machine is dedicated to wallets. That's
Right.
all it runs, and maybe just something weird in between. But we'll do soft jaws. I'll pop off those jaws and then mill soft jaws for this. But yeah, I actually have some orange vices over there that
Okay.
we're going to start doing. We're going to mill the jaws and then quick swap them out.
Okay.
Because right now, once I take those off, man, it's starting over, and that's a tough process.
Especially when you're, I take it you're a one-man show here, right here.
Yeah.
If you have to, start from zero, setting up every
Oh, it
time,
stinks.
that's where you're just eating time.
Oh yeah, it's terrible.
Just to kind of touch on something you said earlier, when you brought this machine in, you actually were doing contract work as well. What kind of contract work were you doing in here?
There's a local company that does troop seats for the military, Boeing, and Bell helicopter, all kinds of people. And they were their vendor was kind of dropping the ball on them. And I was like, well, what if I slide in there and help you guys out? And man, if it wasn't for that, that'd have been a tougher journey. So I did those for probably like a year or two.
Oh, so it was a long-term,
Yeah.
well, long-term, but it wasn't a one-off job.
And as I was doing, stuff for my brand, I would slide that in, and that actually paid the bills because the wallets and that stuff wasn't going to do it in the beginning.
You got to build it up, right? So.
Oh man, if it wasn't for, that was a blessing.
So you, at this point, you don't do any contract work anymore because you just have too much of your own stuff going on in here.
Yes, I do for friends and family that want
Cory,
something. But
you're never going to get away from that, even if you wanted to.
You know how it goes, but yeah, basically it's purely vice at the moment.
So let's keep taking a look around here, because for a compact space here, there's a lot of stuff I want to touch on if possible. This, I take it, is the newest edition.
Yes, this is the rock star. So DT2 in a 21 tool capacity. So I have to have 20 tools to make a complete wallet as soon as I open
That's
it.
what you've got it down to that at this point.
Yeah, so that was a blessing. So every time I load that whole setup there, I'm pulling out a complete wallet versus over there, it's like a month turnaround.
Right.
And that's brutal, especially when you're getting to the volume game. So, yeah.
And what you're running in here, that's vacuum. I believe when we were just kind of quickly walking by it, you said those are Pearson.
So we're clamping on these parts just like traditional style.
Oh, those are just straight clamp.
These are the titanium version of the wallet that's on there. And then I'm working on Ultim that will hopefully be ready by Christmas time. These parts are so thin they bow up on any.
Of course.
So when you go to face it, it just slings it off. So I was like, well, what if we can pull vacuum on it, suck it down, and work around that?
And are these pneumatic activated vices? Because I don't see a handle on the front of these.
Got that skeleton key here. Just pops right in there.
Oh, I've never seen that before.
Really?
No, that's brand new to me.
Yeah, it's super sweet. And yes, as long as you pull it out, it's all good.
And this little fixture, I take it over here, this is for doing all the end work. Now,
Yeah.
that's a difficult thing to do. I take it those holes, when it comes to the actual function of the wallet, are fairly critical
Oh, absolutely.
in terms of location and depth and diameter.
Absolutely, yeah.
And when it comes to, just to talk on the probe on that kind of respect, obviously you have some very tight tolerances to make these what they are, and the ability to sell them at the price point that you do. What kind of QA do you maintain in here, or what kind of steps do you take to make sure things are coming off in tolerance?
Oh, we're constantly measuring. We don't have a CMM or anything, but we hold tolerance I try to stay within like 2000s.
Even though you
I'm
might
like a
not have
weirdo.
to, you have to in your head.
You don't have to. You don't have to, but I'm just a weirdo like that with quality. Like, I just want it to be to spec every time. Clean surfaces, no sharp edges. That's just me, but yeah, I have blueprints for everything that we check constantly, and little thread gauges and stuff like that.
For sure.
Yeah.
To touch on that, I mean, obviously you have some tooling in here. You've got a full tooling spindle in there. When it comes as a small shop to selecting tooling, how do you make that determination? Because I found, for years, even just as a small shop, we don't get the attention that the big shops do from the reps. You're not going to have a guy coming knocking on your door. Hey, do you want to come try out 5 of these tools? You kind of have to chase down and find what you want to use. How did you make that determination? Because, as a small shop, that money can be spent anywhere, potentially not on tooling. You got to really make those decisions well. What was your thought
Absolutely.
process there?
So, I financed this whole gig on my own. I if I broke a $30 tool, it was a big, it was a big deal.
Oh, for sure.
And then I didn't know how to machine titanium, so that learning curve was steep. So at first I was like going to MSC and I'm like sorting by the cheapest one I can get. But then I realized for aluminum, yeah, you can get by that. It's more forgiving, but I'm like, okay. So I ended up trying Harvey tool.
Yep.
And I'm like, man, these are so superior to like, if an 1/8 inch end mill is like 20 on there, but I'm buying something on MSC for like 10. I'm like, yeah, that's why they're charging so much. So the level of tooling, I would splurge and get the higher end stuff because, man, it will get you.
You can really limit yourself by trying to save, it's the whole penny smart, dollar stupid thing. I've been there as well where you go, wow, I can buy 3 of these tools for that. Then you get the nice one and you go, oh, I can cut my cycle time in half, or I'm getting triple tool life. So it's always interesting to kind of hear how that works for you guys. So I see these here. This is something that's going to go in process. These come in, that looks laser cut.
Correct. So I thought to speed this up, I wouldn't have to hog off all this material. I was like, man, if I could get these laser cut to basically like the cost of the blank as if I got bar stock, man, I'm ahead of the game. So yeah, we have all our stuff laser cut to a profile. I think I have like 25 extra thousandths on each side.
Little cleanup room.
Yeah, that I clean up, and man, that saves things tremendously. Even like on the holes on this part, you're not plunging down and cleaning all that out.
You're essentially just, you're doing a lot of work on it, but in terms of the profile, you're just finishing it.
Yeah, exactly.
You're not having to start from zero.
Exactly.
Now, as a guy who looks like he likes to pull things in-house whenever possible, is that kind of on the agenda, a laser cutter?
Oh, absolutely. It's on the vision board.
Vision board.
It's on there. It's one of the top ones.
And of course, behind me here, I see a Machinist staple, a Bridgeport.
This thing, man, this thing gets used every day. Oh man, I can't even tell you how much I love this for what it cost me. I think I paid like $1,000 for this thing.
Really?
Yeah, which was a steal.
Of course. Did it run?
Oh yeah.
It was $1,000.
I didn't have to do anything to it, but basically clean it up. I think these are even the rags that came on it.
Come on.
Yeah, but so as far as punching a hole in something, throwing in this Tapmatic to, do some holes or some tap, man, it is worth its weight in gold. And I think it's 1960s or 70s, and this thing runs like a top.
Now, when it comes to setting up a small shop like this, obviously, we're using space extremely effectively. I have a feeling that's not by accident. What kind of advice would you give to people who are looking to start especially home-based shop, when it comes to laying out and taking advantage of their space?
Wheels. So even this thing, my dad made this base that we can literally roll this anywhere we want. So that's how most of this stuff got in here. We kicked this out of the way. Sandblaster is on wheels. Everything's on wheels. So as space gets tight, you can pack things away, and in corners that you don't need until you need them, you pull them out.
You can literally put it right back there, and then, hey, I need it this week, pull it out.
Exactly. So if you can put things on wheels, do that.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Kind of moving over here, it looks like this is stock area.
Yes, correct. So yeah, all these are going out to anodize, and these are just something I was going to show you, just titanium parts that will get processed. They're raw right now.
So when they come off the machine, this is a pretty good, has that been blasted?
It's been tumbled.
Tumbled. What's the process that you'll go through with this from that stage?
So we pull them off the machine. We have to do some hand deburring because we just can't clean it up on the machines. And then basically we try to do everything on the machine and then just tumble. We don't have the best tumblers, so they take a little more time. So I think those are in there for like an hour or 2 hours to get that finished.
That's not 12 hours.
No.
Right.
But we do have parts like the little swivel arms on the machine. They're in there for like 3 days.
Just to make sure they are completely smooth.
Yeah, round everything off, and yeah.
And then from here, where do they go?
They will get sandblasted, or first we'll put our laser markings on them, all the branding and everything. And we have crazy designs like this is fresh off the laser. This is, we call this F-22 Raptor. It's made to look like
I saw those on the website. They're super cool.
Yeah, it's made to look like a Raptor fighter jet. So then we'll take this and sandblast it, and then kind of give it a battle-worn look, like a Scotch-Brite look or something,
Yeah.
and then that's basically what we sell. This is the fiber laser that does all these crazy designs. Yeah, and this is a laser marking technology. Man, if I could recommend a company, you could call these dudes up at 2 a.m. and you know their support is money. So.
And you can see, look at some of the, like, it's not just that the machine does a good job, which clearly it does. How do you get these kind of designs into CAD? Are they started by hand? Or are they just messing around with flow lines? Like, the design is amazing. How do you kind of process that?
So that was bought off like Shutterstock or something, and then we turn it into basically a DXF or a vector file, and then when you import it in there, this will hatch everything. So I'll just use your logo for example. So as you can see these crosses, that is, each one is a laser pass stacked on top of each other.
Oh.
And it's doing one every thousandths.
Wow. And is that something that auto generates?
It is.
You can like put in as a fill, like you're not going there and putting offset lines. I know nothing about programming these.
This software, I think it's called EasyCAD, will generate that for you. And you just give it commands like these colors are like tools. So if I want to be aggressive, I'll use black. But you know, these are all set up to what I've found what works for me.
Right.
Black is rough, and then like I'll clean it up with the blue tool.
And if you wanted to go a little shallower, you could use a red or whatever you have it set to.
Exactly.
And these things are actually, one of the reasons they're so cool is they're incredibly fast.
Oh, insanely fast. Some of the topos, like this doesn't take but a minute or two. Like, it's very fast. This is a MOPA laser, and it will, on titanium, give you a multicolor.
It almost like anodizing it a little bit.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know if it's
and
the same process.
It's so
but
tough. Like, you cannot scrape that off.
Over here, I see a router. What do we got?
Well, on here, I was doing parts for Ultim that I told you we'll be releasing Ultim parts on the wallet. So I was machining those. Easier to nest on this bigger platform versus in the machine.
For sure.
I just screw it down. But originally I bought it for the Kydex, for the knives.
Oh, this is something you also make in-house.
Yes.
This is always fascinating to me. What's the process behind this?
Oh man, that was a steep learning curve for me because I never did it. Yeah, so I'll route out a blank on here, and then we heat it up in a little like easy bake oven.
Essentially.
Yeah, and then basically heat form it around a blank knife, and that's
and you
basically
get that
it.
super, super tight, snug fit.
Yeah.
So anytime you have something you want to develop, you're trying to bring it in-house as much as possible.
Yeah, and that's just the type of dude I am. I actually love the journey of the process to get there. And kind of when you take it in production, it's like, oh, the fun's kind of over.
The development's not there anymore.
Yeah, because dude, when you're doing that and you have no clue what you're doing and all the mistakes you make, it's such a fun, it's a journey.
The trial and error is always a really good time.
Yeah, and just to look back like how dumb you were, and then like a month later, like, man, I might have this figured out.
I actually think I got this now.
Yeah.
And of course, I'm going to touch the nice brass parts and get my fingerprints all over them. But you guys run some stuff that is you got the really light titanium, you got the extremely heavy brass.
Yeah.
Is that just regular old?
I think it's 360.
360, C360. That is gorgeous.
Yeah, so I think that's right out of the machine. We did the lasering on it, and we even did that dream big, hustle hard.
That's
love
deep,
that.
too.
Yeah,
it's
so,
super nice.
And that takes like no time. So, yeah, that's straight out the machine, and that will be put in our vapor hone, like the wet sandblaster, and it literally looks like a bar of gold.
And I'm sure people love that.
Oh man, it's a fan favorite.
And so you have certain things here, like these ones here, that you will do out of multiple materials.
Yeah, we do those in aluminum, brass, and Ultim at the moment.
Super cool. Super cool. All that changes is the feeds and speeds and maybe the tooling.
Exactly.
And if people want to find out more about Vice Hardware, where can they go?
Go to all social media, vicehardware.com, or Vice Hardware, @Vice Hardware, and vicehardware.com.
Thank you very much for having us today.
Thank you.